Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I want to showcase the Titan build I've been using to clear this week's Grandmaster Nightfall with relative ease even while using Fireteam Finder. And this might not be the most OP build you've ever seen, but it will allow basically anybody to snag some of those sweet Adept Lotus Eater rocket sidearms that everybody is chasing, and you definitely want to have some in your arsenal. The best part about this build is it's a little different from some of the others you might see out there. It uses a exotic armor that you might not expect, but I'm going to start off with the weapons and Tinashe's Mastery. This is one of the very best weapons in the game this season. The reason being is that with anti-barrier sidearm in the artifact and chill clip, which allows you to stun, overload, and unstop champs, you basically never have to take this off. It does very good damage. Rocket assisted frame sidearms are still very good despite getting nerfed in recent times, and this one is just insanely effective. Highly recommend. I have air trigger and chill clip. That's my favorite of these combinations that you can get on it, but chill clip is the only one you absolutely need. If you don't have one, jump into Iron Banner and snag one as soon as possible. Then we've got Le Monarch. This one does insane things with bolt charge, so while I'm running a Arc Titan, I pretty much never take off Le Monarch. It's that insane, and I highly recommend mixing and matching some Void and Arc with this build if you want to, because of some of the artifact perks as well that I find incredibly helpful. But yeah, Le Monarch is absolutely awesome. Then we've got Eyes Unveiled. You can use whatever linear fusion you want. I like this one. I've got Wither and Gaze. It's new, and yeah, I just like using the new seasonal weapons if at all possible, and this one is very good, so definitely recommend jumping in and snagging one of those. As far as the exotic armor, I am running Crest of Alpha Lupi. The reason is that I often play with allies who are generating a lot of orbs, so I want to return the favor. I've got Survival Well, so generates an additional orb of power from supers and a healing pulse when the barricade is active. That second part is incredibly important because I'm getting my barricade so consistently that I'm popping it in order to get my Storm's Keep up and running, and because of that I'm always healing as well. It allows me to go get revives, and if I'm taking damage it allows me to survive very well. Highly recommend trying it out and seeing. If you are struggling, you might want to use Hazardous Propulsion to do more damage. You might want to use Curse of the Fallen Star to do more damage with your super, but this is a much safer option if you are struggling at all. Then we've got Thunder Crash. I'm obviously running Rally Barricade to shoot behind with my Storm's Keep. I prefer Thunderclap. I also use Flashbang Grenades, so that way I blind enemies. This also can stun unstopped champions as well. I also have on Knockout. This is not as necessary, but it's nice to get some healing in a pinch. You can swap this for something else if you would like a touch of Thunder could work as well, but I just prefer Knockout just because it's a better option for that extra healing. Storm Keep is the real highlight of this though, because it's absolutely insane. One of the most broken aspects we've ever gotten. Cast your class ability and you generate those bolt charge, but Le Monarch with this makes it absolutely way better, simply because your ticks of Le Monarch, the poison damage, does generate extra bolt charge over time, and you'll just see explosions everywhere. It's kind of insane. Fragments, I've got shock, so I jolt targets as well as blinding them. Then we've got ions. This allows me, when I defeat a jolted target or a target with bolt charge, I create an ionic trace for that extra ability regen. Then we've got the spark of amplitude, so that way rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates orbs of power. This is very nice simply because of some of the artifact perks as well. And then we've got Spark of Frequency. This, while amplified, the effects are increased, and you gain increased stacks of bolt charge from all sources. That's very effective. As far as the armor mods, we've got Dynamo, Void Siphon, Heavy Ammo Finder, Heavy-Handed, Impact Induction, Bolster and Detonation. We've got double arc damage resist. This is specifically for Savathun at the end of the Grandmaster. Concussive Dampener as well. Double Void Weapon Surge and better already. Reaper, and then Distribution. Also Time Dilation, but I am using the Guardian Games Titan Mark, so that's why I don't have it fully masterworked at this particular time. Now, some of the artifact perks that you really want to focus on, there's not a whole lot to this one that you haven't already seen before. Particle reconstruction is pretty insane. Void flux, very, very nice, because I am using Le Monarch for the volatile targets. Then we've got the flashover, so when a maximum bolt charge, I also become amplified. That's why I want some of the fragments that I have on, and lightning bolts deal more damage. It's absolutely wild. We've got maligned harvest, so that way rapidly applying volatile causes a weakening burst. Dielectric, so defeating arc debuff targets grants bolt charge. Then we've got disruptor spike. This allows improves exhaust, which is nice. Volatile marksman, this is one that I think a lot of people underrate and is really nice with Le Monarch. So rapid void weapon precision hits and rapid weapon void weapon final blows grants volatile rounds, and then volatile detonations grant class ability energy with the boost. So I'm generating a ton of class ability energy. I'm making enemies volatile. It's absolutely insane. And then overclock and load while you're amplified or have bolt charge arc weapons gain increased handling and reload if you want to swap out your heavy for a arc weapon instead, but it doesn't matter. And then obviously unstopped fusion and then piercing sidearm are the last requisites. Now, as far as the actual Grandmaster Nightfall this week, you're going to play it fairly safe throughout. So in the beginning, you jump out into the open area of the Cosmodrome and just take out enemies from afar. If you have a Invis Hunter or somebody who's really good at survivability, you might want to post up next to the cart and keep it moving, because the snipers surrounding you will despawn over the course of time. So you kind of want to push it forward until you summon that brig. But if you are hanging back, if you're playing the Titan, you're best off just picking enemies off and keeping your allies alive as often as possible. You can also slide in, get a res if you need to, or just keep the cart moving by popping your class ability as often as possible for that extra healing. Push it forward, nuke the brig as quickly as possible, and then continue on from there. One of the modifiers does create this explosion you got to be aware of, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward throughout. There are some champions to take down. Your sidearm will be effective for all of it, or you can use your linear fusion as well. But it's not all that difficult. One thing to keep in mind, on the right hand side, you don't want to jump up on that building because you will have some extra enemies spawn as well. So just remember that as you're pushing forward. I've seen that absolutely wipe teams who are not paying attention. There are also some exploders, both Shanks as well as Cursed Thrall to be aware of, a bunch of champions, and then at the end you do get a bunch of heavy ammo if you, like a box, if you burn through it throughout the rest. But you should be mostly using Le Monarch at this stage and saving your special and heavy for not only the champions, which they're important for, but also for the boss at the end, the little mini boss that you fight as well. The next area, you can either push into the room or stay on the outside if you so choose, depending on how aggressive you want to be. If you're struggling, if your team is burning through reses, just stay outside in the hallway and you can just hit enemies from a distance. Your bolt charge and the lightning strikes are going to do most of your work, alongside spreading volatile with your Le Monarch. You can just clear ads very, very quickly, take out the champions from cover, and just constantly be popping your barricade. So again, not overly difficult. You may have to go in at the end of every little section in order to clear out the last few waves of enemies, but overall it's not that challenging. You just have to be a little bit patient. If you're trying to speedrun it, then playing with randoms might not be your best bet. Moving on, we have the final section. So first you'll face the boss. You want to take him down until he gets captured, and it's best to do so again from a distance if at all possible. Then you move on. You'll find yourself on a pillar. You can essentially stay on that pillar as long as you're doing boss damage and just consistently ping them down with the Le Monarch, with your sidearm if you want, with the linear fusion, and just do damage over time while playing it safe. You really don't have to worry about it. You might want to hang on the back edge if at all possible, because his void shields that the boss throws can hit you even up on that pillar. When the first Savathun Mirage spawns, that one's not overly difficult. You want to try to either send one person down or maybe even two in order to get the spear to throw at Savathun. If you are the one that goes down, you can pick it up yourself and start flinging it, but just play it safe and watch out for where she is shooting her little AoE damage, because she can do a ton of damage and one burst a character down if you're not careful. That's why I have on the double arc damage resist personally. You take down the Mirage, then you jump back up on the pillar, do some extra damage, and then the next phase you're going to have 2 of those Savathun's Mirage. Now, my best advice is to watch your teammates, see which direction they're going, and support them. If they are staying up top, you want to pick a side, grab the spear, and try to do damage, but really play it as safe as possible. This is the number one place that I've seen random teams wipe from, and that is because they play a little too aggressive and they jump into a place where they're absolutely getting melted by Savathun. This is the one place that you can absolutely wipe if you are not careful. So if you have teammates who are being a little bit more aggressive, then just try to help them out and cover them by defeating enemies as much as possible. If they are staying up top, then you might want to go and snag the spear and then play around the pillars as much as possible. Your key here is, if you see a teammate going for one of Savathun's Mirages, I prefer going to the left one first. You want to take that down as quickly as possible. Once you have the first Mirage down, then the second one becomes much easier. So definitely recommend trying to focus on one of them, have 2 people burning it down. Just remember, ads continue to spawn, so you can get yourself in trouble if you're not careful, as they will surround you and do a bunch of damage to you and your teammates. And so it is definitely, like I said, try to play it safe, because even if you die in a safe place, then you probably will be okay in the grand scheme of things. And at this point, you should, if you played it safe throughout the rest of the Grandmaster, have a bunch of revives to play with as well. We had like over 10, and if you do, then it's not all that difficult. You just have to go slow and not get over aggressive when you get one of the bosses down very low. But after that, you can jump back on the pillar and just continue to whittle the boss down, finish them off however you want, and congratulations, you have earned yourself a Lotus Eater Adept Rocket Sidearm. That is absolutely phenomenal. Hopefully you get some good rolls on that. But if you have any questions, I'm going to be making another build video for the Lotus Eater specifically as the weapon that I am going to be using. So I'm going to focus around that. I also have a microcosm build that I'm working on that I really want to test out, that hopefully I'll have a video for in the coming days. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like the video as always. Comment, subscribe. My name is Jopa. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.
Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down.
never stops, does it?
The Hive are relentless, even with the light.